Hey everybody, welcome back to the Verdigris table. We're going to roll some dice on the Game Master's Compendium of Explosive Creation. I've got Bill here. Bill doesn't quite understand what we're doing, which is very exciting to me, actually. Bill from Dungeons and Drams, tell the folks at home where they can find you and what you're up to over there.
Sure. So I have a channel on YouTube called Dungeons and Drams. We talk a little bit about whiskey, but mostly lately I've been focused on AI generation for DMs to help you run your games better and take away the parts that you don't like to do. Make somebody else do it.
Spicy thing in this day and age,
Yes.
everywhere, but especially in our space. Hey gang, if you're not creating a commercial product or pretending that you did a thing that you didn't do,
Hmm.
but like you're playing games with your friends, then like I think it's cool. I think it's okay.
Totally agree. Yeah.
If you enjoy it, if you're having fun, you're not doesn't make you a bad person.
If you're not passing it off as your own, there's no harm in it.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's bad actors and weird big questions, but like
You're running a game at your table.
yeah, it's a game.
Yep.
Everyone take a breath, calm down. Okay, so this is like the lo-fi-iest version of this is the opposite of that, maybe. This prompts you.
Awesome.
So we are going to uh this is a tool that like a lot of people have been using for like session zeros.
Mm.
I envisioned it as like if you want to it's building connections with the character and the game world, whether that's you're running a pre-published adventure, you're homebrewing stuff. So it's all based on archetypes. Think
Okay.
character backgrounds. So you're welcome to grab one off the table of contents if something is speaking to you. Otherwise, we can roll a D100 and randomize the process.
Well, may as well roll a D100. Let's see. 68.
68 is going to give us a
I'm a
minor.
minor.
Feeling it? You want best
Yeah,
two
why
out of
not?
three or something?
I
Or
like that is not one I would have picked myself, which makes it the perfect random choice.
and you already understand the concept. So this first page is the player facing side in general,
Okay.
especially these first three columns. So you can roll one of everything, sans that D100, but 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 20.
All right.
Or we can do it one at a time if that's better for you, just like whatever, logistically, space wise.
Let's just no, I mean I'll roll them all because that sounds like fun. And
It
how
is
often do you get to roll one of each?
it's
All
the
right.
best. It's one of my favorite aspects of this design.
It's such a great noise too. Hopefully the microphone picked that up.
Yeah.
All right. So the D20 is going to be a 16.
Cool. So this is giving us our characters like motivation. Why is your character out here doing what they're doing? Um, Undergo pressure to come back like a diamond.
Okay.
Ah.
All right. So I felt I needed a little bit more hardship in my life as a minor. let me roll one more. I'm not sure I'm feeling that one if that's
Yeah,
cool.
that is perfectly acceptable.
Oh, let's go with a 20.
20. Shine light into the deepest, darkest corners.
Perfect. I like that one a lot more.
Yeah, so this is a perfect example. Like, if you're like, oh, I don't like that, you're welcome. Well, we talked about fudging earlier today. You're welcome to just like grab one. Also, if you get a result and you're like, that's okay, but like it would be cooler if, awesome, run with that.
Yeah.
Like it's doing its job. All right, so we want to shine light into the deepest, darkest corners. I still like the idea of like the dwarf who like mining was too easy for him, but
Right. That's a
maybe
good
we'll
point.
circle
Yeah.
back to that.
He's got like a pick in each hand. He's just, oh, this is
Mhm.
nothing. All right. So the D12 is a 4.
Four. So this is our call to adventure. Why are we not down in the mines anymore? We dug up more than we were looking for.
Ah, very Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, we delve too deep. Um, and they play nice together because we're looking the deepest, darkest corners. We're like, I always like a character with curiosity. Like,
Yeah,
give
for
me the give
sure.
me the
I think
character
that's a
who
good
wants to
combo.
know what's going on.
Definitely. All right. Um, D8 is a 6.
So potential character growth. This is usually something you want to like develop during play, but having like some basic concept kind of helps you like lean back into one style and look for opportunities to go to the other. What do we say? Six?
Six. Yep.
From maximum extraction to preserving.
Okay, so they've changed their mind about how they're maybe they shouldn't be just ripping up the world. That doesn't seem that's surprising. So total change of heart.
You like played out over time in a
Maybe
game, right? Like we're just like get that
yeah.
gold at first or whatever.
Maybe they kind of the other thing, they've dug too deep, they've found something, but now they've realized what kind of effect what they've been doing is having on their area or something like that. Or maybe they realize that if others are digging that deep, they're going to uncover this awful thing that they've found. Maybe there's a bunch of mind flayers down there or something. So um I don't know, interesting.
Yeah, that
We can
that
put that
vibes
together.
really nicely because we're curious, we want to get down to the darkest, deepest corners of the everything,
Mm-hmm.
and then we hit something that we didn't expect to find and regret it.
And now
Um,
we're like, you know what, maybe we shouldn't be doing this.
yeah, I love a character that learns from their mistakes.
Yeah.
Also, I love a character that's willing to make mistakes.
Yeah. Actually, I always try to put redemption like as a core theme in my games. I always think it's good for characters to resolve their flaws that they
Hmm.
picked at the beginning, if they're interested in it anyway. All right. The D4 is friendly factions. So this is number four.
Number four, the Dowsers, known for locating water and mineral deposits, can also help to locate other things.
Hmm. Okay. So maybe instead of discovering the Underdark, I found a uh entrance into the plane of water.
Hmm. I just had this flash of like deep underground digging and like the pickaxe hits and leaves and just like a little spout of water and it slowly gets bigger and bigger
Stick their
and
finger in
bigger.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
Guys, help.
We dug too deep.
All right, and then the D6, I rolled a two.
Cool. So this is like a friendly NPC we have some sort of relationship with. Silas McKees, well-known tavern staple who has mined tons of gold and blown all of it carousing. I like him.
Fantastic.
Silas
Maybe
McKees. Yeah, I mean, I don't even need to. Everybody knows him. Like everyone has a relationship to this guy.
right. And then it looks like I need to roll a D10 as well. I didn't do that.
Mhm.
All right, so zero or 10, I guess.
10. So this is the one where big number good.
Yep.
The revelatory reflector. Speaking of handing out too many magic items to people, light bouncing off this mirror helps reveal hidden doors and secrets.
Ooh, I
Ooh,
like that. That'd be fun.
true sight with extra steps. Uh,
Yeah. You have to just walk backwards all the time, staring in the mirror.
Uh, okay, cool. So what do you think what kind of ideas are these generating for you for a character? I mean, we got a lot already on
Yeah.
the
So I
plate
mean,
here, but
you kind of nailed it. Like it's got I feel like it has to be a dwarf. It doesn't have to be, but I feel like that is a natural tendency, right? And if I were gonna be a little unique, maybe I'd go with like a deep gnome or something like
mm,
that. That could be good. But you know what? Yeah, why not? Let's go with a deep gnome instead of a dwarf, just because I don't want to be as predictable. Um I actually really like the idea of digging too deep and discovering maybe like an underground ocean. And something to do with it. I actually really liked the elemental plane of water. I feel like I should go with my first instinct, right? I forget the name of there's like these stingray looking things that they go along with Asmodeus, I believe. They have a really weird name. It begins with an X. I can't remember it. I know people at home are probably yelling out the answer, but there's
look, I lean into the unpronounceability of things, so I'll say things three ways because I'm like one of those is probably right. Come
right.
at me.
Yeah, this one is I can't even remember how to say it, but it's like 17 letters long. It's basically a demon stingray. So I could picture this deep gnome going down, discovering this, maybe they're cracking through rock and it just crumbles and they see it fall into this big ocean, and suddenly they realize that they've uncovered this elemental plane of the entrance to the elemental plane of water, and there's a whole bunch of stuff going on down there. At which point they've decided that, hey, maybe we shouldn't dig any deeper. Maybe they're trying to get people to stop having some trouble with that. I'm having trouble figuring out how I'm gonna make Silas McKee's work into this though. So well-loved tavern staple who has mined tons of gold and blown all of it carousing. Maybe I could see if he's ever stumbled across anything like this before. Um, maybe he's didn't actually mine tons of gold. Maybe he made a deal with a demon and stopped digging, but was paid a whole bunch of gold or something like that, and now runs a
Uh,
tavern until as a way to kind of
and that's why
spend
he's
time.
he's got to like compulsively spend it all. He needs to like get rid of this like
That's a good idea.
these
Yeah,
these ill-gotten gains.
and maybe as part of that he sends out people secretly on missions of some sort, and that's how our player gets our start. We get sent off on some sort of quest
I love
by
it. And
Silas.
it's good to have like built in like open-endedness. Like this guy at the bar, like he's your buddy. And
Mhm.
then like I don't know, I'll figure out in 3 levels what the deal is. And we'll get into the other side of things.
Yep.
Um, but that's cool. Do we have a class? You got like a
Oh,
inkling
that's
of
a good.
what we're working with?
Maybe okay, maybe we elaborate a little bit. I'd have to look up what the monsters are, but let's just call them X monster. Something's escaped out of this hole that I created, and that's going to be the first quest: is escaping out of the tunnel, trying to save people if I can. Maybe the people that join me on the other players there are some of the other people that I've saved along the way, a la the beginning of BG3, and maybe something like that. I could see that being like that first quest, and then eventually you end up meeting the tavern owner.
Yeah, I mean you're gonna be in the
Yeah,
tavern at some point.
right. Of course.
It's inevitable. If you don't start there, you're gonna end up there pretty quick.
Right.
All right, so we're gonna switch hats. We're gonna take off our minor hat,
Sure.
cap thing. What is that? The
Hard hat,
revelatory
helmet.
reflector. That's yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and we're going to the DM side of things.
Okay.
So this is like world building details that we can kind of like hook the player with essentially.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna ask you to roll. You can roll 4d6s, or you can roll d6 one at a time. Our first stop on the tour is going to be an antagonistic organization, so a faction that is not necessarily a huge fan of us.
All right. Let's go with 4d6s.
Love it.
All right. We'll go 5-1-5-5. That's interesting. All right. So the first one will be a
Um,
5.
Thunder callers, alchemists that research explosives, no regard for the quakes they cause.
Okay. Hmm.
5.
5-1.
I like the idea of just
Oh,
like we're in the tavern and like all of the bottles on the shelf behind you just like rattle a little bit. It's like these guys.
I could totally picture it. Yeah.
Rivals and
Explosions are always
enemies.
fun. They just, yeah, especially if you have gnomes around. That's
You're a gnome. Yeah,
that's right. Deep
it goes
gnome.
hand in hand. It goes hand
Yep.
in hand.
Yeah. I actually you'll like this. I came up with a concept for an item in the game I was playing. I called it balls, BALLS, because you got to have fun acronyms, right? And
Mm.
it was a system where it was designed to be on board of skyships, and you would wear it on your chest, and if it detected that you were falling, it would make like an inflatable sphere around you, and it was bounce and live longer system.
Nice.
So I love gnomes and the stuff that they come up with. All right, so we've got some explosives.
And then clearly, yeah, these guys are definitely gnomes.
Yeah.
All right,
So then
so
one.
rival enemy NPC who doesn't like us, Theos Skyfield, speaking of skyships, noble trying to enforce a claim on all treasure brought up beneath quote unquote his lands.
Okay. All right. So I mean, they might not actually. I mean, well, they're going to be a rival, but that doesn't necessarily mean the bad guy. It could
Mm.
just be somebody who's against what you want. So, um, maybe you're trying to stop people from digging down here, or my character is trying to stop people from going deeper. This guy just wants money, so he's pushing for it. Maybe the what is it? The
The
explosives there,
the
Earth
thunder
Shaker. Nope.
callers,
Thunder
the
callers.
gnomes
Thank
who
you.
are
Maybe
just
the
I just want to
yeah
blow stuff up. I'm
yeah.
sympathetic.
So the thunder callers are going down to blow a big hole because they've now heard because of your quest, your first quest where you ran away. They now know that there's something down there, and now the thunder callers are going to come down to blow a big hole in there because there might be some treasures that need to be discovered. And this dude is Theos is heading that whole thing up.
God, I love it because this is, I mean, our next stop on the tour is the evocative location, but like I,
Oh, this
I
kind
know
of
one
fits.
place, I know where we're going, but
Yep.
we go multiple places. Let's see what we got. It was two more fives, right? Yeah.
Two more fives. Yeah, I made it really easy for you.
Crystalline grottos, these long flooded mines, perfect, are home to all sorts of unusual creatures.
Excellent. Yeah,
Nailed it.
that should be easy enough to figure out. It's when you finally, I'm sure, inevitably go down there, you we need to remember our suffocation rules and do some swimming through the caves. I like it.
Yeah, and I mean, you already brought up these like demon stingrays that are flying
I have
through.
to look up what those are called.
Do it.
Yeah, I'll do that while we're chatting. But
Scratch our itch. The last stop on our tour is a thematic monster. So another, um, you can never have too many monsters.
this is
Borer.
five. Yeah,
What's that?
or nothing. No, I was just reminding you it was a five. Yep.
Burrowing worms of huge proportions that are drawn by vibrations through the ground. So yeah, these gnomes start blowing up where they shouldn't be, and they attract the great worm.
Worms are a
Classic.
problem for sure. I would see those more as something to avoid rather than to fight.
Yeah, they're
Which could
almost
be
like
good, especially like I mean, there's nothing worms in real life like they can be underwater for quite a while before it's a big problem. So there's no reason that they can't be making these tunnels underneath the water as well. Um,
hmm.
maybe that's where these the grottos came from originally is their old worm tunnels, like really old.
I like that. I like that a lot, actually. Yeah, and I do. I like this is almost like an environmental threat. This is not even like you're not fighting this thing.
Right, exactly. Yes, and so you need to just avoid it. Well,
And
I
you
don't
were
want
talking
to.
about how you like the random encounter die roll when like either someone's getting loud and crazy or there's like you got to keep things moving. Like, all right, roll that d6. Let's see. If everyone here
Exactly.
gets a
Yes.
one, you're calling the worm.
Yep. The worm is coming. What are you doing? Yep. I love it.
Did we figure out what the stingray is called? No.
No, I was feeling too distracted. I couldn't figure out what it was.
Hey, everybody watching at home, tell us in the comments if you haven't already.
Yeah, there you go.
What name that monster?
It
Uh,
begins with an X. I'm pretty sure it's like XET, like
I got like
Zetil.
Zillion is what like my autocomplete is
Yeah,
doing,
like
but I know that's a module. That's a different Castle Centillion is a cool OSR dungeon.
yes.
Um, but I'm
No,
with you, but I can't help
it's
you.
under the water and it begins with an X. I'm going to call it an axolotl
Oh, but
until
then
we can think of what it's
you
actually called.
can't I can't let you stat out an axolotl because then someone's gonna kill it and we're all gonna feel bad.
Well, it's an axolotl though. It begins with an
Oh, okay,
X.
that's fine.
So, yes. No, an axolotl would be like a 1/4, I'm sure, or just make it like a 10, like a CR10, unexpectedly.
Yeah, I mean, in my mind, it's like it's a celestial. It's not like you think this is like some little lizard thing, but this is like it's a it's a baby coatl, or it's
For
like
sure.
it's a ascended coatl.
Ascended koala.
Okay. We're gonna roll a d20. Your
Yeet.
favorite, the swingiest of dice.
12.
12. You can never have too many plot hooks. 12. Natural disasters drove them underground long ago, but now they seek to colonize the surface once again.
Hmm. That one doesn't quite fit with everything else that we've talked about yet, at least not immediately. I'm trying to think, like, because if it was the elemental plane of water or like the entrance to it, they wouldn't have been pushed underground. It would have been more like, well, unless there's something living down there that escaped from the elemental plane of water but has been stuck in the material plane and they remain underground for whatever reason, but I'm not sure what that would be. I'd have to come up with something, I'm sure.
Yeah, and
Um,
they don't always. Sometimes you get a result that doesn't fit. I mean, especially with this
yeah.
last one. It's a huge gamble at the end
Oh,
to
for
like
sure.
here's a
Yeah.
huge story that we've built together, and here's the swingiest dice with like there's with the most variety in it, and theoretically because you got three other people at the table, and maybe something starts to stick onto somebody else's line.
True.
Or again, this is not just a session zero tool or like a campaign prep tool like the first time out. It's like
Mhm.
there's 20 here because like you're gonna need more. You're gonna come back to this well
Yeah.
eventually.
Well, it's always fun
Uh
to it's always fun to take the challenge of trying to find a way to make it fit, but of course sometimes it just won't. In this case, I feel like if I were to homebrew a little bit, I could absolutely make this work. I would just have to, like, my brain immediately goes to a similar concept as like think of the Loch Ness monster, right? Like
Hmm.
people before, when people who believe that that's a thing think it's like a plesiosaurus that was just, or an elasmosaurus that was stuck there, right? Same idea could be here, except it's a monster. It's stuck. It maybe wants to get up to the surface. It wants to go to the ocean, but it can't because it's in an underground ocean. How does it get there? It's stuck on the ground. I don't know. We'd have to think of something.
It's a
But
natural disaster drove them underground long ago. So like this water was rain
yep.
and then it was the ocean.
Yeah,
And
perfect.
like big things happen for it to be however many
Yeah.
feet or
It could be
fathoms
as
below.
It could be as simple as a cave in. Like it used to have a path out to the ocean. It
Yes.
no longer does, and now it's stuck here. Yeah, there you go. See, it could totally work. We just had to work at it.
Love it. Yeah, so the sticky ones sometimes are the best ones.
Yep.
Um okay, cool. Anything else you want to develop before we close the book on this guy?
No, I really like this. This is a fun little surprise. As you said, I had no idea what I was getting into, but like this is the stuff I rarely ever get to do, so this is really fun for me.
Oh, cool. I love random tables. So like
Me too.
the reason it's the verdigris table half of it is because I mean the table we played around has like a copper coat of paint on it, but the randomization and like the ability for a dungeon master to also discover
Yeah,
things. Yeah.
for sure.
Um, some of my favorite stuff. All right, so I'm gonna go back to the big screen.
Okay.
Boom.
Ah, there you are.
Hey, uh, uh, cool. So there's you were telling us about the campaign that's coming
Yes.
up.
Uh,
Tiptoeing up the line to spoilers. What's on the other side? What's coming up for Dungeons and Drams? What's next on the video list or
That's a good question. So the normal videos that I do every week, it's always picking out something that usually it's like I ran into it the previous week of like, oh, this kind of stinks. I don't want to do this. So let me make a video about how I could do it better.
hmm.
A lot of my videos come from me just doing that thing for myself and then spending a little time with the prompts and then kind of refining it and giving it to everybody else, learn from the work that I did, kind of thing. So I imagine that will always continue, and then running new campaigns will give me new ideas. But one thing that I do think I'll probably continue to do is explore, as we talked about, like AI is only going to get more prevalent, and there'll be things like AI video. Like actually one thing that I did during the campaign is I would make an image of a person that I had as the NPC, and we're streaming and everything, so I'd change my face over to the NPC, and I found this pretty cool software that will actually animate the picture that I give it to make it look like either they're talking or their hair is blowing in the wind or whatever. So as I'm talking as the NPC with the voice of whatever I'm doing, I have their living, moving face on the screen. And little things like that are only going to get better. And I think I'll probably just continue to explore how we can utilize AI to help us with streaming or running our own games. Eventually, there'll be more AI generated music, so you could use it as at your table, which does kind of have the same repercussions as the AI generated images. So it'll be interesting to see how that develops. Right now, I can tell you that the music generating tools out there are kind of terrible, but they'll eventually get better. Music is math at the core of it. So if you can make stuff that feels right, it will probably sound pretty good.
It's this is only going one way.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
Like it's only going to be more pervasive and influential,
yeah.
and it's only going to improve in quality as well.
Mhm.
And if that doesn't terrify and excite you, you're not thinking about it hard enough.
Totally agree. Yep. If it's not a
Um,
big part of your life yet, it probably will be in the next few years. So,
right, and just yeah, just the experience that you can give your players, because like yeah, I don't do too much with it,
yep.
because it's whatever.
Yeah, yeah. No, and I
Because
totally think
this,
a lot of DMs are resistant to it because it does remove a creative element that is probably the main reason that you're DMing. And that's why I usually come at it from the approach of do the parts that you don't like doing. I don't want to stat out 20 people within a tavern just in case my characters decide to kill everybody. But that's a thing that you could do if you wanted to, or just use the commoner. So
Right. Yeah. It's a very interesting time to be alive.
yeah,
Right. Like,
I
hey,
totally
you
agree.
like carving stuff, cool. Don't get a 3D printer.
Right.
But it's another tool that's exists and is like true this stuff is truly neutral, which is maybe why some of the scariest aspects of it are around. But
Yeah.
like it is neither good nor bad. It's
Mhm.
a powerful force.
Yeah.
You don't have to you not accepting that fact is not going to stop the wave.
Yeah, and I'd rather be in at the beginning of it personally. We talked about it, I'm in technology, so I kind of have to know about this stuff. So
Right.
actually, part of why I got into this was my boss told me I had to learn something that was totally irrelevant to D&D. And then I went and tried it out. I was like, "Oh, this is pretty cool," and immediately was like, "I can use this for D&D." So, and then it's funny. I told him a few days later. He was like, "Hey, how'd you do on that project?" I'm like, "Here's the results. Oh, by the way, I started a YouTube channel."
Love it. Perfect.
So yeah, the whole thing has been kind of a wild ride. It's been really fun. And actually, I mean, not to sound too suck uppy, but it's been really fun meeting a lot of the other creators in this space. As nice of people as you could possibly imagine. And everybody's been very supportive. Even though not everybody agrees with the whole AI thing, which is totally fine. I've actually had a couple of private conversations with people, but they're like, you're doing your thing, and I totally get that. But like, here's my opinion. And yeah, we'll have a conversation just like we're having now.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's huge, right? Like, and
for
it's
sure.
so lacking so often
Yes,
on the internet. Let's say the
it is
discourse
a breath of fresh
is
air. Yeah.
so volatile, and like one, yeah, but like the reason the show keeps existing is because it's just so gratifying to make and connect and like be a part of this community.
Yeah.
And it's just 99 out of 100 people are awesome and it's interesting and fascinating and like people from all different walks of life and perspectives and like polite, like the ability to like see things in a different way and have an interesting conversation about it.
Mhm.
Some of my favorite shit, right?
Yeah.
Like, and it's so easy to be like, I'm on the good team, I'm right, so I don't have to think anymore, which is
Yep.
annoying. Like that takes energy. I'm not gonna do that anymore. I'm just gonna yell about the things I believe now. Uh,
I have opinions loudly.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and I'm so
Uh,
and I'm sympathetic. Like I'm sympathetic to a lot of those loud voices, like anti-AI sentiments,
yeah.
and I don't use them in my professional career, and like, but
Yeah.
like this is too big. I don't know, and
Yeah.
nuanced and
You're totally right.
moving to like so like it's a fascinating. If you're not curious about it, then
Mhm.
like you're just putting your head in the sand. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, frankly, if I weren't doing this channel, somebody else would be. And there is a couple of other channels that they end up using a lot of like AI generated art, but I don't think there's any other channels doing quite what I'm doing. There will be eventually, and they'll probably surpass me, and that's totally fine. But it's going to exist, and it's good to know how to use it. Let me ask you a question because I would if you get this question every time for people thinking that they're novel, then feel free to shut it down. But
no,
what are you working on?
oh, good question.
Yeah.
So well, I'm working on this book is about to be for sale
Mhm.
physically. You can get the PDF right now.
Yep.
I've learned a lot about the publishing process. I thought writing a book was hard, and it sure was, but publishing a book, I had to teach myself layout. And
Mhm.
like, and again, I wasn't using AI tools for layout, but like I was using very sophisticated, powerful software. I wasn't
Yeah.
moving blocks around on a printing press, right? Like it's just
Yeah. The
technology
bleed,
is
knowing about bleed and all that stuff. Yeah.
and God, yeah. So I
Yep.
proofed it. It looks awesome. So happy. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna move this like a quarter of an inch. The
Mhm.
page number's too close to the margin. All right, see you in 6 to 8 weeks. You got to proof it. Son of a bitch. So like, I'm
Wow.
learning a bunch of lessons the hard way.
16 weeks
Um,
is so long. That's
so
crazy.
that's what well, it's print on demand, and apparently, like
Yeah.
this COVID is still affecting paper supply. Like there's all
Mhm.
sorts of crazy stuff. So whatever. That's
Yeah.
what's up. I'm about to close that year plus loop. Um, the
Do you have
next
a
big
do you have a
project.
date, like a release date? Rough.
The second I can, I'm gonna walk up to my mailbox one day. There's the book's gonna be in there. I'm gonna open it up and make sure it doesn't suck,
Mhm.
and I'm clicking the button, and then
That's awesome.
it's
Oh,
there.
what an exciting thing.
Yeah, it's been deeply gratifying, and it's so cool to like see it in the hands of other people, and like
Yeah.
I built a thing that like makes other people have ideas. Like it's
Yeah.
cool to see it happen.
Well, plus holding a book, like you can have as many PDFs and digital everything, and a lot of it's easier. I love books. Like I
Yes.
just love a hardcover book of every all like I remember I started getting really frustrated when I picked this whole thing up because I'd buy the stuff on D&D Beyond. I would buy the hardcover book. And at the time I was using Roll20, so I'd have to buy it there too. And
Hmm.
it's just like I just spent $120 on the player's handbook, or whatever. And it's just that stuff drives me crazy. But I love a hardcover book, so I'm glad that you're putting one out like that.
Yes, yeah, you can get the PDF right now.
Yeah,
But I like a physical. I like the paper. I like a physical copy of the thing. Um,
sure.
Beyond that, I'm going to do a lot of character creation stuff now. I need to for my own benefit, I need to learn the new stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, the new
some interesting things coming that I haven't solidified enough to talk about yet. But the next big creative thing is percolating.
excellent,
So
nice.
stay tuned. Thanks for asking.
Well,
That's a good, yeah, that's just a question.
yeah. No, I mean it's just like it's like DMing, right? Like you never get a chance to play. You're running the show. People probably don't always ask you the questions that you want to answer. So
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. That's very
yeah,
kind of you. Thanks so much for hanging out, spending your time with me,
yeah.
for educating us, having presumably difficult conversations. That felt pretty easy to me, but
Well,
tackling sticky
it's
subjects,
practiced.
I'm sure. God, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
I think
sure.
about this stuff a lot.
Yeah.
Um, but
But
if
yeah,
it,
appreciate you, man. Everybody go check out Dungeons and Drams. Check out the Whiskey Channel too. Why not? Come on.
yeah, the whiskey
Uh,
dictionary, you can see it right there.
the Whiskey Dictionary.
That channel is a lot bigger. So, but
Thanks everybody. We'll see you next time. Until then, be kind, have fun. Bye.
well, thank you very much for having me on. Have a good night, everybody.